Welcome to my three-part series on making a 3D low-poly papercraft from a PDF using a Cricut Maker. This video shows how to make a low-poly 3D papercraft like this dolphin design from a PDF of all its pieces with edge numbers to glue together, using an electronic cutting machine like the Cricut Maker instead of doing it all by hand, and then assembling your own version. In this making a 3D low-poly papercraft from a PDF using a Cricut Maker, part 2 of 3, we cover modifying elements in DesignSpace. Okay, let's handle a few disclaimers first. These videos are long. Please check the description for time markers to forward to sections that most appeal to you. This shows how I do it. It may not be the best, the fastest, or the easiest way, but it works for me. This is not necessarily a tutorial, but the steps are detailed enough that you should be able to do them. In part 1, I cover importing a PDF to Inkscape, manipulating elements so that Cricut will understand it, and then saving as an SVG. In part 2, we go over uploading to DesignSpace and adding it to a new project, tweaking for different tools such as the pen and scoring, and then scoring, drawing, and cutting on the machine, in my case a Cricut Maker. Part 3 shows assembling the pieces at a sped up rate. Okay, I'm in DesignSpace. I'm using the newest version, which on my Windows machine is 7.4.141. Of course, it changes about every minute. I'll do a new project. And I like to turn my canvas to light yellow or gray so I can see white things, even though I made these purposely yellow so I can bring them in. But I go to upload. I look for that SVG I just created, which I called Low Poly Dolphin Mom. I'll open it. If it looks like you think it should look there, go ahead and you can change obviously anything here if you want. But I'll upload it. And then I'll select it and bring it into my canvas for a new project. I've used lots of software that crashes frequently, so I typically save fairly often. So I will save this off the bat. I have to name it something, so I will name it Low Poly Mom Dolphin White. Now, in reality, if I weren't doing this demo, I would do the entire Mom Dolphin together. So I would have imported 2 PDFs into Inkscape, page by page, but this works just fine for our purposes. So this is how it has come in from Inkscape, and size is 9.452 by 10.092, which, as you know, is not what the size was in Inkscape. So I wrote that down. I will change this. I'm going to take off the aspect ratio lock. I'll change width to be the same thing that it was there, which was 13.964, and the height to be 14.912. Instead of writing those down and typing them, I also often just switch windows to Inkscape and copy and paste, so I'm exact, but this works just fine too. So now this is the same size that it is in Inkscape. What I'm going to do is every page from this Dolphin PDF, I'm going to keep at the same size in Inkscape that it came in at. I'm going to bring it into DesignSpace and make it the same size. And then after I get all of the pieces on one canvas, if I want to make it smaller or larger, then I will do that. So we need to back out a little bit and see what we have here. course, everything's grouped, so we will ungroup it. You see we have some odd lines, and I have found this whenever I have the mountain fold dashed lines, but I'll show you how I take care of those. So now if I click on it, sometimes it seems to be grouped again, so I'll ungroup it again. Now I should be able to click piece by piece because that's how I grouped it in Inkscape. So I just like to move one over so I know what I'm working on. And of course, as long as it stays grouped, over here we have the 4 basic pieces that we grouped. So this yellow one, sort of hard to tell, is going to be the basic piece itself. I want to just keep that at basic cut. One of these, and it's hard to tell, is going to be the numbers. One is going to be the lines that are mountain fold, and one is going to be the lines that are valley fold. So I just click on one, see if I can tell what it is. It looks like these are the numbers because it's grabbed them all. So those could be the numbers. I'll click on this one and see. That's not getting these numbers down at the bottom. I'll zoom in a little bit. That's not getting these numbers, so I know that's not the numbers object. It's not getting this part of this. Yes, it might be. It's hard to tell which one that is. And this one, okay, we can tell directly for that one. Those are the 2 mountain folds. And those are left at basic cuts, so those are good. So I'll just hide those for a minute so they're out of our way. Now we know this is a score line we want. So clicking on this gives me the whole piece, but sometimes I can't tell from this. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm just kind of confusing. So what I'll do is I'll click on the whole group. I will ungroup it. And then, of course, DesignSpace just throws things wherever it randomly wants to throw things. So what I typically do then is I'll click on the big number, because I know that's the numbers object. And that's what that looks like there. And I'll go up here to pen. I'll pick a different color than black just so it's easier to see. And of course, it doesn't have to be the color you're actually going to use. Raspberry shows pretty well. And I use extra fine point. Okay, and that is not the numbers. That was the score line. So I want to click that again and undo that. Turn that back to, well, not really undo it. Instead of, those are the valley fold score lines, so I'm going to make those scores. I'm going to turn that visibility off for right now. All right, so now these could be the numbers. This should not be this hard. When I select it like this, sometimes if I'm unclear what that might be, I'll do the arrow key like 5 times to the right and see what moves. 1, 2, okay. I only had to do 2 and I see its numbers, so I'll move it back. I'll go up to here. Now I'll do the pen. I'll choose extra fine point and I'll choose a bright color, and that is exactly what I wanted. And because we combined them in Inkscape, I only have to do that once per piece. So now I can select all of this again, and it would be nice if DesignSpace actually showed you things that were hidden, but I forgot that it doesn't. So I need to go over here and find the pieces that I hid and turn them back on. Now if I select it, it should be those 4 items. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and now I'm going to group again. Well, actually, I don't need to group. I just need to attach. So I'm going to attach, and I like to move that out of the way because now I know I've got that done, although I can also tell because the numbers are in a different color than black. I'll zoom back out, and we've done one piece. And I did that really poorly, so I'm going to come back and do another one, hopefully a little bit better for you. All right, I apologize. I didn't do that piece very well. Let's see if we can do one a little bit better. We'll do this one that has this errant line in it. So I like to move it just so it's isolated from the rest of these. I'll zoom in a little bit. I can see it. All right, and right now it has these 4 objects. So what I should have done before is kept them grouped, kept them selected, and just experiment. So I'll click the first one that's basic cut. And I can guess it's not the numbers because it didn't get those. It's not the score lines because it didn't get those. It is probably these mountain score lines because it looks like it got all those. And I know from experience that this errant line is because they're dashed score lines or dashed cut lines, which I'll use as mountain fold score. So what I do is I go to contour. And always in the contour, I just don't pay any attention to over here. I look over here, and there will always be one or more sort of subdued lines before a darker one, and then all the ones, the rest of the page are dark. So the top ones that are subdued, just exclude those. Go back, and that's taken care of that line. So we know those are the score lines that were mountain folds. So that means we'll click the whole piece again. So that means we just did those. We'll do the second one. Now these, again, are not the numbers because it didn't get all of them. So this must be the other kinds of scores, and we want to turn those to score. Okay, so we've done that. We'll click on the whole piece again. We know this outline that's yellow, basically the shape of the piece, we want to keep basic cut. And so the only one left is the numbers. And we want that to be pen, so we'll change that to pen. I like to do the extra fine point because these numbers are pretty small. Change it a different color so that I can see better what I've done. And since we left this grouped, we don't have to go hunt for the pieces, and now we attach. And move that over. And I can just do these others the same way. This one didn't have any mountain folds, so there should only be 3 items over here. It's easier to tell over here what we are. We know these are the lines. We want them to be scores. We know this is the numbers. We want that to be pen. Then we want to attach everything. I'll go finish the other pieces and be right back. All right, I fixed all my pieces, and I usually click on them, although just to see if they've been attached. If it says, that one hasn't been attached. Make sure, although the numbers, if it hasn't been attached, you know when you get to the mats, it'll look wonky. And then now I save it, which I've done a few times along the way. I didn't show. I'll go to make it. I'll be using the scoring wheel, single scoring wheel for the score line valley folds. It'll cut the perforated dash lines for mountain folds, and I'll use the extra fine point pen in some color. Today I think I'll use pink on white for the numbers. DesignSpace does not do a good job of positioning this well. Sometimes I can get these pieces by rotating them on fewer mats. I don't think I can get them all on a 12 by 12 piece of paper today though, so I'll just go ahead and leave it like this, although I would like to try to get 8.5 by 11. See what it does. It only got 2 pieces there, 2 pieces there, and see, I think one of these could have gone over here. See, that fits perfectly fine. I don't know why DesignSpace can't do that better. I think it's probably a moot point because I can't fit this one anywhere, I don't think. So depending on how precise you want to be with your paper and stingy, sometimes what I do here is I cancel. I go back to the canvas. I'll do a shape. It's just a rectangle. I'll make it some other color that's easy to work with. And I'll make it the size of paper that I might want to use, so I'll try 8.5 by 11. And I'll see if I can position these myself. I'll send that to back. All right, so I put that one on there, that one, that. Actually, this might be a good one up here. And this is just experimenting. Sometimes I'm able to rotate and save space, sometimes not. But see here, pretty easily I was able to get these on just 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11, so I don't need 3 pieces. So I just then delete my shape, and I attach these so it keeps them together, and I attach these. It's so silly we have to go through these machinations, but you all know how DesignSpace is. Quite possibly one of the worst programs I've ever used, by the way. So we'll go to make it, and I mean that for so many reasons, but I won't go into those there. See how these look? They're showing on yellow mats, but I don't care. I'm going to use white. It's the white part of the dolphin. I'll click continue. Hopefully find my machine. It's not responding. Oh, we love DesignSpace. It's probably even extra slower than usual because I have the screen recorder going. So we will do medium cardstock. It's telling me next to load the red pen and the single scoring wheel. So I will do that and cut and take a picture for you. All right, I've loaded the mat with the 8.5 by 11 white cardstock in my maker. I have the single scoring wheel going and the red pen extra fine. And the first thing it's doing here is scoring, which you probably can't see. Let's see if I can shine a light on it at all. Can't really see it, but we'll see it in a minute. I'll let it finish scoring and then I'll be back to record it doing the pen a little bit. Okay, it's done scoring and now it's doing the pen. That is easier to see. See the score lines a little bit maybe. I'll show them again later. Takes a while for the pen. It's at 34%, but depending on how many numbers there are, obviously it takes longer. So I will stop for a minute and show you when it's done. So it's working on scoring the second page, which, as you recall, I got actually 3 pages from the original PDF on 2 pages in DesignSpace. But here's the finished mat, and it has nice numbers, nice score lines, nice cut lines. And for the place where we want to do a mountain fold, like right there, those are a perforated fold line, so we know like this score line to make a valley fold and this score line to make a mountain fold. So I will take this off the mat and show you the pieces. And here are those 3 pieces, nicely cut and scored. And I know exactly what type of folds to make, so I will fold the pieces. Fold the tabs, fold the lines. And here are those pieces nicely folded at the score lines and ready to go. And the second page is done
printing, scoring, and cutting, and so I will be able to assemble the white part of the dolphin as soon as I get the other pieces for the other numbers for the main part of the dolphin. Here's a little recap of what we just saw. Import a PDF to Inkscape, one page at a time. Then I use layers to organize the elements more easily. I grab the edge numbers. I do path object to path and then path combine. I grab the valley fold lines. I do path combine and then I change the stroke to a solid line. I grab the mountain fold lines. I do path combine, then change the stroke to a 3-dash line. And then the important part on that is extensions, then modify path, then convert to dashes. Then I grab the outline sections. I do path combine. Then I bucket fill the desired color and I remove the stroke. I save the SVG, open in DesignSpace. I change the edge numbers to pen extra fine. I change the solid valley score lines to the type score. I use the contour tool to remove unwanted errant lines from the mountain fold dash lines, but I leave those as basic cut. I send to the machine that will score, draw, and cut the pieces, and then I assemble and enjoy.